it's now got to a point where I just go, oh God, and I think that it's not even real for people. I mean, you can feel it's real when you go shopping and it costs more. Bills already coming in that are kind of eye-watering. But I think it's very difficult to get your head around the fact that this is actually happening, that really some of the scenes that we've seen over the years from different countries is people going out on the streets and saying we can't afford to pay our bills, you know, we can't afford to eat, feel very distant. Now it feels very close. And so I don't think it's really hit people what it will mean, but there's a kind of atmosphere of anxiety. One of the things that I was thinking when I've been trying to follow this leadership campaign is there's like these rows about what tax you cut, whether you cut taxes, you know, go for growth, all the rest of it. That feels very divorced from these very real issues. And there is no sense of urgency. It's almost like an abstract discussion going on over there about policy. But there's no sense of... Actually, one of the things that we face is the energy crisis. You know, without going into the politics of it, but it's like, well, can't you just, like, start fracking now? You know, do something dramatic, you know, go out and start drilling for oil. I mean, you know, it's like a sense of this is, you know, there's so many crises that we end this, you know, everybody's having a crisis over something, you know, it's pandemic crisis, energy, all the rest of it. But this does feel to me as though a sense of urgency might be required where
But in terms of all this is what I don't get, and maybe you understand this more than I do, that companies like Centrica are making... Because this is all down to supply and demand, it's the market economy, Centrica's making a fortune out of this now. Is there not a CSR, sort of corporate and social responsibility thing, where they could turn around and say, actually, despite what the market is demanding, we will reduce prices?
Well, they could do that. I mean, no, but there is also, in the longer term... I think the problem is that these are quite immediate, short-term solutions, and there is a long economy that they have to think about, right? So they might be having a boost now. In the future, they might not have a boost. What would you say that when they're not doing so well, they go back to the consumer and say, can we have some money back, please? I mean, you know...
Also, the danger that these companies would take their bases overseas if they felt that they were being penalised here in the UK. It's such a difficult balance.
I mean, of course, when you see BP's profits yesterday, the immediate instinct, as it were, on the couch, when you're watching it at home, is to go... give us some money. You know what I mean? Like, that's not right. It feels morally reprehensible that they get big profits and people are suffering. All I'm saying is that's not necessarily a serious political solution. And I'm just talking about the fact that I want to see some sense that there's a longer-term thought going into how you can resolve this. But there is obviously going to be a problem for the government in terms of helping people survive this. I mean, I do think that there's going to be... it's not just suffering. I think there'll be a fight. And I think some of the strike action that we've seen so far reflects that. People can have a moan and say, we don't like the RMT and some of them get too much money and I don't like strikes and all that. This is the way that people express the fact that they feel as though it's not right that ordinary working people are having a massive attack on their living standards through no fault of their own.